Hello everyone, welcome back to the Cauliflower channel. I'm Patrick, your host, Mr. Cauliflower himself. Today I have the pleasure of telling you all about my favorite cauliflower recipes. And for those of you that stay till the end, as a bonus, I'm going to give you my best tip for those of you that like to grow your own cauliflowers at home. No, guys, of course not. Today we're going to be talking about Tattooed Chef, the Beast SPAC. I found out some great stuff yesterday that I want to share with you. I might be the only person covering this company, but I will continue covering it even if no one else cares about it. I think it has to be one of the best opportunities out there for the X SPACs. So today we're going to be talking about what I found yesterday and how I think it's going to impact the stock in the future. We're going to be talking about what are some of the comparables for this company. Like we've talked about some of their comparables like Beyond Meat before, but where does this company fit in the grand scheme of things when it comes to food companies? And then at the end I'm going to look at the price and see what's the support, what's the resistance, where do we go from here, and when am I going to be buying more of these shares? So we'll talk about all of that after the intro. Like and subscribe, it really helps out. All right, guys, quick recap before I get into the meat and potatoes of the video. For those of you that are newer to the channel and haven't heard me talk about Tattooed Chef a lot, or just simply don't feel like you really understand what the buzz is about, well, the reason why people are so excited about Tattooed Chef, or at least I am, is because of their growth. It is not a typical food company that grows about 10% per year. If you think of a company like Utz, which I reviewed in the past, it's a type of company that does really well. They're very mature, well established, but they grow about 10% per year at the most, and they give a 2% dividend. Now, what's interesting about Tattooed Chef is that they are in the health conscious, plant based sector of the food industry. So the food industry itself is not really interesting, but this category is growing extremely fast. You guys know about Beyond Meat, so we're not going to be comparing really Tattooed Chef with Beyond Meat, which is bigger and has a lot of traction. But when you look at the growth for this company, that's what is so attractive about it. It's not a pre-revenue company like a lot of the SPACs. This is a company that has revenues and is doing very well for itself. And as you can see, they'll do even better very soon. So if you look at the investor presentation, this was their projections for the year. They believe that they can sustain the 67.4% compound annual growth rate at least until 2021. So this year they were supposed to do 148 million. This is their projection, and next year 222 million. Well, recently we had the preliminary Q3 earnings, and they mentioned that they got for the third quarter 41 million in revenues, a 71% increase year over year. Guys, this is very, very high growth. Compare a traditional food company at 10% per year, and then you have Tattooed Chef that's growing at 71% quarter over quarter. Now, that's not sustainable for the next 10, 20 years. We all know that. But if we look at what Sam Gallaty, the CEO, said, he mentioned that they believe that they are well positioned to meet or exceed our full year revenue expectation of 148 million and adjusted EBITDA expectation of 17 million. So they're already making profits. All of those reasons are some of the part of the reasons that made me do this video a few days ago, which a lot of you probably have watched by now, where just kind of for fun, kind of as an exercise, I compared three different companies that had merged recently, and I kind of ranked them based on which ones I thought were going to do better in the near future, right, in the next 12 months. So we had Lordstown, we had Tattoo Chef, and Hylian. And one of the reasons why I picked Tattoo Chef to be the number one is because of those revenues. And now every couple of months, they're going to be announcing really good numbers. Well, one comment stood out when I made that video. I love when you guys write comments, and a lot of times it helps me progress, right? It helps me in my analysis. I blurred out his name because I don't know if he wants to be like put in, shouted out in the video, but this person said, "Great video. I work at the printing company that handles half of Tattoo Chef's printing. You picked correctly." All right, so some random person's talking about the printing company. Okay, what does that mean? So nice, you guys are pretty busy. He says, yes, feeling very feeling bullish for sure on next earnings. So, that's just random person commenting. So great. I mean, if we can trust him, that's awesome. But yesterday I went to Sam's Club and this is what I found. And this is what's going to be really, really important for the future. I've been buying these products for a few months now, and I just like to track their progress in the store. Are they out of product? Are people still, buying them? Is there a lot on the shelf? Well, up until now, they had three branded products, right? They had the cheese pizzas, they had the zucchini spirals, and they had the one more. I don't. Yeah, the mac and cheese. Right. Well, now I went yesterday and they went from three branded products to six branded products in the same store. I mean, think about that. They doubled their products in the store. So now they added these pizza bowls at my Sam's Club. They added these cauliflower crust white pizza and this riced cauliflower winter blend. Well, look at the prices. I mean, $12.98 for the pizzas. I bought some to try them out. It doesn't really matter if I like them or not. The fact is, they literally doubled their inventory in those stores for the next foreseeable future. So, what do you guys think is going to happen to their next earnings? This is huge, and this is why I was so excited to come here and tell you guys about this new development because not a lot of people know this yet, right? That the product is expanding so quickly. So, while all of this was happening yesterday, while the stock was crashing by 11%, it went down to the 16s yesterday for the first time in several weeks, right? While this was all happening, here I am in the store and I see that their inventory doubled. Well, this is going to be huge for their next earnings and the earnings after that and the earnings after that, right? A lot of people have said, oh, the product's not even that good. I mean, the food's not good. Well, it must be good to some people and people must be ordering because the store is not going to give them a huge shelf presence like this if the products aren't selling. So does this mean that the revenues are going to double per store? No, of course not. We absolutely have no idea what the extent of their distribution is. We don't know how many of the stores are carrying these new products, and we don't know if they're going to renew them, if they're going to sell well, and all of that. But what we do know is that the big box stores definitely believe in Tattooed Chef and are willing to give them a chance. So if the products sell, they're going to stay on the shelf, and that's really going to help their top line revenue and eventually their bottom line profits. So what I would like is if you guys go to your big box stores, I'm not a member of Costco, I only go to Sam's Club and Walmart, but if you guys go to one of the big box stores in your area, just let me know. Like, is there new products from Tattooed Chef? Do you see a new line of products? Right? Are there a lot on the shelf or are people actually buying them? I'd love to know. That would really help us investigate this further because right now, again, no one knows what the effects are going to be on the next earnings. Only people that follow this company really closely know this ahead of time. So while everyone is freaking out and selling the stock, this creates a huge opportunity for us to buy more shares or get in or dollar cost average down while everyone else is panic selling. Right. So now let's move on and look at some of the comparables and see where this company, their growth rate, where does it stand compared to some of their competitors, and what does that do for the valuation? Well, let's look at the valuation. When FMCI underwrote this company, they underwrote it at 577 million, which was at the share price, the IPO price of $10. Right now, the share price has gone up, right? 1901, very nice recovery today, 11%. So that would give the company a market cap of 1.1 billion. Well, what does this mean? If we go and look at their projections for next year, for their revenue, that would give them a 5x multiplier. And you guys know that companies are measured, like are valued based on their revenues or their bottom line profits. So for their revenues, it would be a 5x multiplier. For their profits, EBITDA, right, it would be a 33x multiplier, which is fairly high, but I mean, it is considered one of the growth stocks. There's a premium for it. Well, how does this compare with the big dog, Beyond Meat, the company that everyone wants to be compared with because that's very good for our valuation? Well, market cap would be 10.1 billion right now, right? And if we look at their earnings for next year projected or their revenue estimate by analysts put it at 746 million, so about 3 times more than Tattooed Chef. But if you compare this would give them a 13.5x multiplier based on next year's revenues. That is much higher than Tattooed Chef's 5x. Do I think that Tattooed Chef can get to 13x? No, I don't think it's going to get there. But you guys think it's very possible for it to go to an 8x valuation, which would make the current value very low. I think it's very possible, right? And if you, I'm doing some mental math here, if you do 8x times their 222 million projected valuation from next year, that would give them a 1.7, 1.8 billion valuation, which is much higher than the current 1.1 market cap. Of course, again, there's going to be other factors. There's going to be warrants that are going to be exercised. There's a lot of different other factors. But if we look at the whole picture, it is very possible, very likely that the company is currently undervalued based on some of their competitors, especially the big dog Beyond Meat. Next up, let's compare the valuation and the multiplier with Vital Farms. This is not a company that I know a lot about, but it is one of the companies that FMCI used when they underwrote Tattooed Chef, and the companies are similar in a lot of ways. So if we look at the market cap, it is 1.37 billion, and then if we look at the analyst estimates for next year, you can see that it is 240 million. That would give this company a 5.5x multiplier, which is very, very similar to the current valuation of Tattooed Chef. So based on that multiplier, right, if the two companies were comparable, we would believe that Tattooed Chef does not have a big discount right now at $19. It would not be a good buy. But the one thing that we have to add, not only is Tattooed Chef possibly understating their projected revenues from next year because we don't know what their real distribution is going to be, but also look at the growth rate expected for this company, 15.6%. That is 4 times lower than the expected growth for Tattooed Chef. Tattooed Chef, as we mentioned, 66.7% compound growth per year, right? And then Beyond Meat at their 13.5x multiplier, well, they're at 55.6% expected growth rate. So there's two completely different levels here. One is growing at a 15% clip, which is great, but it's not 66.7%. It's not 71% year over year. You guys understand this? Like, it's two different totally levels of growth. And this is why these companies, Beyond Meat and potentially Tattooed Chef, are going to get a much higher valuation and multiplier. All right, let's wrap up by looking at some charts. What's the support? What's the resistance? What price do I like for this stock? And when am I going to re-enter it? So if we look at it, I'm going to keep it really simple. I don't want to overwhelm people. I know a lot of you don't really like the charts, so keeping it really simple. Most people in this stock bought into it below $18. So this 18 went from a resistance to a support when in the second wave it was pushed up to the mid 20s, right? So just keeping it simple, right? Let's consider that $18 is one of the important numbers, one of the main supports for this stock for now in the short term. So if we look past the merger, as you guys can see, I mean, it was downtrending the entire time, right? It went from the mid to high 20s all the way down yesterday under that $18 support to low to mid 16s. Now, what happens often is that when it's oversold like this, as you guys can see on RSI, there's kind of a rubber band effect. When it's sold so much, it kind of tends to rebound because people feel like now it's a buying opportunity. So that's what happened today, right? From a big loss yesterday, it went up a lot today, up back to 1901, above that $18 support level. So what's going to happen in the next several days? It's very hard to know. Are we going to keep that downtrend? Because you can't base a recovery around one day, especially when it's been trending like that for days or weeks, right? It's going to take more than one day before you can officially say, yes, now we're out of that downtrend. So don't read into it too much, right? Even though it was up 11% today, it is bullish, but you're going to need a lot more confirmation than that before you feel like good about the stock rebounding. So because of that, I'm not paying too much attention to the 1901. We'll have to see what happens the rest of the week. If I can get this stock to $16 or $17, right, like today, to me that would be great. But again, as I mentioned before many times, I don't want to buy when the knife is falling. You don't want to try catching a falling knife. You're going to get hurt a lot of times. You want to wait until it bottoms out and starts to rebound. That can take a few days, can take a few weeks, right? Especially as we get closer to when the warrants can be exercised, there will probably be some selling pressure. So because of that, again, 1901, right? It's up from yesterday. That's great. But to me, it's still a little bit too early to buy. I want to see some confirmation. I would much rather buy the stock at 21 when it's going back up than at $18, but tomorrow it's going to 16. I don't know if you guys understand why I keep saying that, right? It's easier to buy into strength than buying into weakness. So if we go back to what the resistance is, of course, there's going to be like that $20 range. And then after that, we'll look at this one, which is going to be about like between 21 and 22, right? If it goes above that, to me, that's going to be fairly bullish because that will reverse that trend. So we'll see what happens. As I mentioned, once the stock stabilizes, especially after the warrants can be exercised, if I can pick up this stock again in the 18 range, I'm going to be very, very excited about this stock. We'll look at some of the valuations. I do believe that this stock can have more than 5x valuation, so I wouldn't be surprised if next year it's back into the 25s, 30 range. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. I love this company. I mean, I can't say it enough. I'm Mr. Cauliflower, I guess, but it is what it is, right? It's not a super exciting company. It's not an electric vehicle, but it's a company that you can depend on because they have that huge growth and they have that steady revenue month after month. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that they can get more than 5x multiplier? Let's discuss it. Write it in the comments, and I'll answer all of them as usual. I'll see you guys in the next video. Tomorrow, big announcement for those of you that haven't seen it. I'm going to be on JMAC's podcast, so the link is going to be in the description. See you guys tomorrow. Thank you.